Hello, this is Adam Dewhirst. This is the second tutorial I'm recording on facial modelling, character modelling for stylized characters. This is the scene we ended up with last time. It's a very crude face, but with half decent edge flow, which is good. We've pretty much mapped in loops around our eye, loops around our mouth, and a crude nose and chin. Just before I begin, might make a couple of corrections here, just to sort of start rounding out the face a bit. If we go to our front view, I think we lost a little shape at the end of last session, and you can see that also my character's not quite modelled down the middle. So let's just take these points here, turn soft mod off by hitting B, and hit 0 to snap everything to X. I apologise if I'm sniffing, I think might be coming down or something. Okay, so it's sticking pretty well to our concept, but as I mentioned in the last tutorial, obviously once we start building in 3D, some of the original drawing will become less relevant, and we may obviously need to make some changes in the 3D space that we wouldn't have anticipated perhaps in the drawing. So let's just move some of this out. Okay, what I'm going to go on to now is shaping the skull. So we're going to go to the side view, and we're going to take these points here, not this one, because what I'm looking to do is extrude over the temple. Hit B to turn soft mod off. I just want these top edges. We extruded this edge out at the end of the last lesson. It's really just the beginning of the side of our head, so I'm going to continue to extrude here and possibly rotate as I go, and keeping it quite large edges here. Keep the subdivisions. Sorry, not subdivisions. Keep the poly count pretty low if I can. Is the objective here. Okay. So, going to keep going. Just rotating the shape around as we go. Now, ideally, normally, with any normal human, you'd probably be placing the ear in this cavity here. This guy obviously has a rather unique shaped head, so what I'm going to do for now is possibly ignore the ear. And we'll come to that solution as we go. As I said, this is a character that I haven't modelled before, so this is unique for me too. And I'm going to finish this head off just before we get to the neck. So we should have created most of the skull. Let's have a look at that in 3D. Okay, not bad. Obviously would require a little bit of shaping. Let's hit 3 to see how that's looking. It's crude, but it's beginning to get there. The front view. Now this is where we might need to shape stuff. My concept is still relevant at this point, so let's perhaps just try and line some of this shape up using soft mods perhaps, because it'll give us a nice runoff on our curvature. It's just a little quicker than doing it all vert by vert. Okay, and again, I know the back of the head's going to need shaping, but for now I'm just going to leave it. We'll be able to fix that as we go. Okay, what I'm going to like to do is essentially fill this shape in anywhere that sort of makes sense. Ideally we'd want this to start joining up. Let's look in the side view now. The neck's going to start somewhere around here. I would anticipate joining this piece up to somewhere around here. Let's look in the top view. I want it to be as logical as possible. Okay, that doesn't look like it's sensible. What I'm going to do now is turn backface culling off so we can see the edges here now. I think we want to make this as logical as possible. So remember that this piece here is the underside of our chin, so in actual fact, if whatever we're going to connect this to is still going to be the side of the face. So I really want 4 edges here if this is the bottom, to correspond with 4 edges here, which that'll also be the bottom. So this does make sense. So let's bridge this, and I'll tell you what, we'll just bridge that once for now, that's fine. And this, if we look at the side view, this is where our neck is going to begin. But it won't make much sense now. Let's come back to that, I think. What I'm going to do is cheat a little here. We're going to double click, and this is a hole loop here that I'm just going to fill. So I'm going to go fill hole, and refill that in. And the only reason I do that is because extruding and snapping vertices may take a little longer. So what I'm going to do is very quickly try and just match some of these edges up. Hopefully to make a clean a shape as possible, but we may lose a little here as I go. This is hopefully going to work, but as I say, it's a new character for me, so we shall see what happens. And we have... oh, we almost succeeded. I shouldn't have put that edge. Okay. Again, I'm keeping it very low. Right, I'm now going to use the sculpt geometry tool. Double click just to remind you. I'm going to set this to the smooth setting, scale it down a bit, and just lightly relax a lot of these points, making the shape more organic now. I don't think this edge flow is very nice. It may be that I want some of this to connect around a bit more. Maybe I've made that back of the head a bit too prominent and a bit too low poly perhaps. I think it might be nicer if this edge continued further along the back, so let's go to the side view. I think it's correct. I think what I've done is, and again as I mentioned in the first tutorial, we are going to make mistakes as we go. This could probably be a little straighter, and it looks like I've maybe aimed a little low on my poly count, but that's fine. I'm just going to correct that, and at least we have now a mesh that we know where we are. We've got a lot of the head plotted in, and it's not going to take much just to make some quick alterations. I think the logical thing would be to try and have another edge in here, so let's just add an edge. Just delete that for now. B, and I'll extrude that back down. I think that's possibly a nicer head shape than the one that I initially forged ahead with. Okay, good, pretty happy with that. And again, I might just make some slight alterations. I don't want to make it a large poly count, but I feel that this, these edges here should probably correspond to the ones at the back. I mean, it's just logical that that would give it a nice head shape. If I make this edge here lead to the bottom of the skull, then it's well, it can't lead to anything good. So let's just rearrange this, and ideally, oh. One second. Okay, and I'm just going to rotate this around. Sorry, a little distraction there. Phone went off. These things happen. Okay, let's just move these points. Okay, so this is making a little more sense to me. What we've got is a nice shape, logical shape to our head. Obviously, with all our soft modification moving, we have gone a little messy here, but it's been worth it, I think, in order to get the most sensible head shape. Definitely was a good decision. Okay, a couple of bumpy bits. If you do get that, got a couple of options. Again, we can use the smooth tool on the sculpt geometry, just lightly. Yeah, that seems to have fixed that. I mean, we can come in manually Obviously that probably shouldn't be in so much. Now we can make some decisions, but it does take a while to move a lot of these verts individually, so sometimes you might want to come in and just use the soft setting on the sculpt geometry tool to quickly make changes. Okay. Let's look at the side view again. Now, as you can see, I think we can sort of figure out where we're going to go next. We could extrude this down. We're just looking to block in the rest of the head. The topology on the side of the face is important, but it's not going to move quite as much as the front of the face, so maybe less so to have these very rigid edge loop shapes. So as long as I keep it nice and neat, nice spread of polygons, it should do the job. And this is, as I say, quite a unique character, I feel. It is rather large jaw. Okay. And I'm also going to start just moving this in, because I know that's where the mesh is going to start narrowing. Because we've got the back of the head coming in. Let's hit B, keep leaving soft mods on. I don't really want to do that. And I should scale this in. Oh. Just hit the scale tool, the move tool even, just so I can move this up a little. Now what I've done is here, if I extruded once, I'm actually going to add the edge loops because I just want to position that roughly in the right place. I'm adding the edge loops that I know are hopefully going to snap here. Let's just snap those up. Snap, snap, snap. Okay, now earlier on we talked about having these 4 edges corresponding to the bottom of the face. I'd like to do that if still possible. Looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now that is an awkward number. It might be the case that we have to make some kind of compromise. Let's, in fact I think I'm just going to go ahead and compromise straight off. Let's bridge this shape. We're going to do exactly what we did before. We're just going to forge ahead and fill this so we can start blocking in the rest of our head. And as I said, this is an example of essentially trial and error. It's not always your character will have a good example of how to do it online. I mean, there's some great tutorials out there, and I'm not suggesting that this is any better. I'm just saying that a lot of the time you will have to improvise. Okay, so let's hit 3. Okay, I think I'm pretty pleased with that actually. It's got the nice round egg-like shape and sort of suits our character design. We'll try and just squeeze some of this back to its original concept if we can. Now the good news is, because we've spread those polygons out and kept it nice and neat, it shouldn't be hard to plot a spot for our ear shortly. Let's see if we can start building the neck. Again, turn soft mods off, sometimes I forget to do that. I'm just going to select the edges for the neck, side view, and I know this isn't quite in line at the moment, don't worry about that. What we're going to do is just extrude out. Now at this point I want to get my edges straight again, so I'm going to scale those in and rotate rounds. Now it will warp it a little, you can see here, but it is a straight line, and I find sometimes that can be helpful. So I'm going to take the edges that I've sort of misguided here and just try and give this a bit of a rounder shape. At least I've got a point to work from. And I'm going to take those verts and I'm going to scale them in roughly with my concepts. Let's go to the front view, see if I haven't warped that entirely. No, so in the process of building the back there we have lost a few things. Let's snap a lot of these vertices back to X if possible. 0, here we go. Oh, lost one down here too. Back to X, so we've got our edge down the middle of the head. 0. it's important to tidy as you go, because if you do leave it too long, sometimes it can become a complete mess and you've got too many vertices and can't see where anything fits. So do tidy as you go along. I'm going to extrude this once more, just to finish off our neck shape. So scaling it in a little bit in places. Okay. Now that's debatable as to whether that's too many polygons there. It may have been. I've gotten a little carried away, but I do know that my neck is not going to connect to a body in this particular case, so I'm just going to smooth these out, maybe spread out the polygons a little bit. A bit too much on the edge there. Let's look in the side view, and I've kind of quite nicely come close to making this little bubble under the chin. Great. Now if we hit smooth, we've got the basis for a lot of our head there. This little point here is causing some nasty shadowy stuff. See if we can smooth that out. It may be that we can't, because obviously that's a little star. Well, it's not a star, but it's well, a three-sided star. I don't know what you'd want to call it. Yeah, that's kind of got rid of it. I think that's acceptable. Go back to the front view, have a look at the neck now. As I thought, it's a little wide. So, again, we'll just... It'd be wonderful if we could take this loop, but can't, because it's on the edge of the model. So if I was just going to snap these back to X. If I was to select this bottom loop, unfortunately, we'd get every loop around the model. So let's hold down Control and unselect those edges, with exceptions of the one that I want along the bottom. Okay, front view, and let's just scale that in a little and try and position it. And it's going to lose this X edge a little bit, but we'll fix that in a moment. And again, just going to scale down once more. Side view, try and line that up a little bit better. And here I think my concept, I'm not actually the artist for this, it's a guy called Ollie. Yeah, he's done the drawing a little bit out of perspective, so we're going to have to make up some of this stuff, but overall it's pretty good. Okay, cool. We are getting a little messy here, I think. Let's maybe just neaten this up. Sometimes I'll neaten up and I'll delete edges, because this creates a much nicer flow to my polygons. Maybe these bottom ones are going to be... I mean, let's have a look. Yeah, I think maybe we'll just get rid of this. So it neatened itself up quite nicely. Front view again, let's just check. I'm going to re-snap these edges. X, 0. Well, yeah, there we go. Right, now that is roughly our head and neck of our character. Okay, all blocked in. We've got a lot of detail to do, a lot of shaping. Let's go to the front view. We're just going to try and match up some of this. I don't want to alter the model hugely, but let's try and just get it a little bit back to our original concept. Just shaping some stuff, maybe the bottom of the jaw, pulling out to meet the point where the head should be. And remember that this is still a character without hair, so a lot of the stuff will be generated by the hair when we get around to that. A lot of this shape here. So no need to match the shape too closely. And it might also be that you make changes in the model once you've away from your concept, if it's your own design, your own build, once you start making it. Okay, that's a bit better. Let's go back to the front view, and we're going to check that the origin is in the middle of the world, and let's just take all our points down the middle. zoom in just to check that. Hit B to turn soft mod off. Yeah, I've got a couple I've missed, and I'm going to make sure they're all on X. And just to have a look to see how the whole head's looking, let's do a quick duplicate special. We're going to turn scale to -1, make sure it's a copy, not an instance. I mean, you can work in instances if you want, but if you ever merge this, you're going to want it to be a copy. Let's hit 3, let's have a look. Okay, it's rounded. We've got a little point on the chin that obviously we're going to have to correct. Maybe let's do that now. So let's take these two, and I'm going to now look at assess this as a whole model. So we're going to combine those. I'm going to hit vertex and select a bunch of them, including all the ones down the middle. And I'm going to go to my merge settings and edit mesh merge, and I'm going to make sure the threshold is low. So we've got 001, that should be fine. Let's merge that. Now what that'll do is that'll only merge the vertices that are right in the middle. Now, it's a common thing in modelling character that you often set the middle of the head to a sort of point. Now obviously in this case that's happened. If we hit 3, we can see he's got this slightly annoying ridge down the middle of the head. So the easiest way to fix that is to duplicate your model, go up to the sculpt geometry tool, and we're going to go down to reflection, turn X on. Now you can see we've got spheres of influence on both sides, brushes on both sides. What this means is that we can paint anywhere and it should reflect on the other side. You can do the same with soft mods. I can select this, turn my soft mod tool on, and in the toolbox here scroll down and turn reflection on in X. So I'm going to just shape this a little better so that it doesn't look so pointy in places. I know that my profile is correct, so I'm ideally not going to affect that middle line. I'm really just looking to pull everything out to match it. Oh, there goes the phone again. Okay. Okay, and I can see on the underside of the chin here, that should be rounder. And a lot of it should just make sense logically. Now of course at the bridge of the nose you will start getting an indent, and that's fine, depending on how soft or harsh a nose you want. You might want to alter that. Okay, that does look better, but I think there's still some areas that look a little funny. Not very keen on this lip here, this lip to the chin. Let's pull that up a bit. And I think at this point it might be nice just to use the smooth tool just a little down that middle part. I might alter the head as a whole instead. Just smooth it. Ooh, I think that's too much. Let's go up. Turn the max displacement down. Generally just give this head a slightly nicer shape. Again, we've got the same problem down the back. So I'll select this head, hit 3. Now at this point, this is where I talked about before. These image planes are a little annoying to me, so I'm just going to remove them for now by turning the layer off, and we'll take these vertices here, move them out. Maybe just go back to our sculpt geometry tool and just smooth out these edges so it's nice and round. And I suggest you do this with every model, just as you go, maybe, especially in the early stages. Make sure you're aware of how it'll look as a whole model and not just as a half. Okay, now I don't want to do too much in one session, so let's delete the history. Let's hit 3. It is looking a little better, a little bumpy still. Got work to do on the eyes, I can see, and the nose is looking, should we say, a little pointy. No, it's still looking like it's got a little bit of indent there, so again, we're just going to smooth out some of this. Give it a much more organic feel. Don't want any of these ridges that we've accidentally created. Front view. Let's maybe bring that concept back in. And it looks to me like this is a little harsh, so I'm just going to soften that a bit. Again, I probably made that assumption on the shape of the concept and not really thought about the fact I'm going to be adding hair to this afterwards. Okay, there's a few things still to correct, but we've got a rough head there. That's where we're going to end today's lesson. I'm actually also going to, now we've made those corrections, so I'm just going to delete this half again, because I'm going to continue to make corrections on one side of the head, so let's just delete that. And we haven't lost anything. What we've done is reshape this side, and we're at a better point now. So let's just delete the history, and we'll save. File, save scene as, put number 3, head. And in the next lesson tutorial, let's say, we will talk about adding the ear, the inside of the mouth, the inside of the eye, the eyelid perhaps, just generally going on to the details and getting a bit more shape, but there we have with our basic head. Okay.